Gospel according to John. Early in the morning on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary of Magdala and others came to the tomb. They saw the stone had been rolled away from the entrance, and so they ran off and found Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one that Jesus loved, and told them, "The rabbi has been taken from the tomb. We do not know where they have put Jesus." At that, Peter and the other disciple started out toward the tomb, and they were running side by side, but the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He did not enter, but bent down to peer in, and he saw the linen wrappings lying on the ground. Then Simon Peter arrived and entered the tomb. He observed the linen wrappings on the ground and saw the piece of cloth that had covered Jesus' head, lying not with itself, but rolled up in a place. Then the disciple who had arrived first went into the tomb. He saw and believed. And yet they did not understand what the Scriptures had said about Jesus and his rising from the dead. My friends, the Gospel of the Lord. Good. Well, there's about 18, so just to give you an idea, so they're around. Let me begin, please, by allowing me the opportunity to say a very happy and blessed and grace-filled Easter to each and every one of you. I'm sorry that it's so cold, not like I have any control, but I almost feel like we should miss each other. Merry Christmas. So walk with me if you can. Can you imagine, just imagine the utter devastation of Mary Magdala, of Peter, and the other disciple. Just walk there for a minute. First, you have to realize that their leader, Jesus, had just been through actually 3 horrific days. A chain of events that went from pretty cool, like celebrating this washing thing and meal together, to the garden, and then to the crucifixion, and through all that horrendous junk. And they had been through that experience as well, right? They're scared, they don't know who to say what to. They're running around sometimes denying that, no, they know all the stories. We know them all. So they've been through this trauma as well, and they're confused, and they're scared, and they're puzzled, and they're perplexed, and actually they're probably quite devastated. They had most biblical scholars say, most likely spent the night with each other in hiding, and talking about what was going to come next, or how this was going to happen, or what they were supposed to do. And yet, in their very gut, in their very heart, they were Jewish, and they knew what had to happen. They knew that the body of Jesus had to be prepared for proper burial, because they had to do it before the Sabbath sunset, right? So they knew that they had just basically thrown it in the tomb. If you've ever been to the catacombs, you get an idea of what we're talking about. We're talking a little shop, we got all these nice caskets and stuff. They didn't have that. We're talking a hewed out piece of rock, and you put the body in there and roll the stone in front of it. They knew that they had to prepare this body. They knew they had to get the spices there. They knew they had to get the proper rituals done, the washing of the body, all of that. And they show up at the tomb ready to do all of that, and the body's gone. Wow. This has been a lot of trauma, and you just topped it off, right? This is a lot to go through. And the gospel writer of John is even more poignant than any of the other. Not the 3 synoptics. They all give you an angel, or somebody says, oh, go do this, or oh, go do that. John, you're out of luck. John just says, they show up, the stone's rolled away, the tomb's empty, the cloth is on the ground, the other cloth is on the shelf, and that's it. Ouch. Talk about devastation. The modern American author and novelist and theologian, Anne Lamott, she shared a very poignant insight into the spiritual life and this whole concept of faith.
She said the opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is certitude. The opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is certainty. You see, my friends, there's one thing that Jesus did consistently across the board, and that was to blow away just about every paradigm of certitude that people had of him, and of his role, and even of how this whole life and passion and death and resurrection would play out in his life and in theirs. If you have any doubt whatsoever, just think of the gospel today. Once again, it was exactly opposite of their expectations. You see, there was among them, among most Jewish people and leaders of Jesus' day, the idea that this Messiah was going to be a great and powerful and transformative leader from Israel who was going to lead them out to a new land, a new power, a new situation in their life. And he was born of the line of the King of David. And into the realm of our humanity comes Jesus, the Son of God, of the line of David indeed, but quite a ways removed. Not in a palace, but rather in a stable, a barn, the trough of a barn. And it just did not make sense. The opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite is certitude. Story after story that we've heard for the last 40 days, and in fact, since the very beginning of Advent, because we've been processing and walking through the Gospel of Mark, what we have been hearing for this whole time has been story after story that point to and direct us to the fact that there is not much certitude. They're stories that invite you and I into the deeper mystery of this amazing God whom we celebrate and praise and worship. That's the reality. And yet, as churches, we have talked and created and canonized and codified how God shows up in our lives. Do I have an amen? Don't we do that? We have often created and codified and canonized exactly how God is going to show up in our lives, in our world. We figure it out, right? And we create this box and we say, this is how it works. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, if we're going to have to put on the lens of Jesus and ask ourselves if we're not doing the very same things that the religious leaders of Jesus' day were doing and that he kept calling out, right? I don't think I'm saying anything new, and I hope nobody gets up and walks out, but I think it's worth hearing. My friends, Jesus did not come to establish the Episcopal Church or the Old Catholic Church or the Baptist Church or the Roman Catholic Church or the Presbyterian Church or the Methodist Church or any church. Jesus did not come to establish that. That's not what he came. You never hear that on the lips of Jesus. We never read it in Scripture. Jesus did not come to do that. Jesus did come. Jesus did come to first and foremost establish our relationship. Our relationship with us as the people of God and with us as people. Our relationship between God and creation, between God and the human race. A relationship that had been broken by what? By our own arrogance and certitude. We figured we had God figured out. If Holy Thursday night taught us anything as a community of faith, if it taught us anything as people of faith, it taught us that washing each other's feet, standing and sitting and sharing in a meal, entering into a relationship with each other and subsequently with our God, that is the call of the gospel, to enter into a relationship with one another. Anne Lamar continued her reflection on faith. She said the opposite of faith is not doubt, the opposite of faith is certitude. And she continued, we can tell, my friends, we can tell that we have created God in our image when it turns out that he or she hates all the very same people that we do. That's the God we've created, probably not the God that Jesus understood. If we're honest, and I believe that we have to be, we have to admit that many times throughout our history, we have done exactly that. And in fact, I'd venture to say that we still do it. We still create a God in the image in which we figure that God is going to be. It's a danger to allow ourselves the certitude of understanding a God that is so mysterious that we can't. Sometimes I wonder if we aren't like Mary or Magdalene and Peter and the other disciple, and we flee from the uncertainty of the empty tomb in fear and in amazement, and we say nothing to anyone because we're afraid, or we conclude that we understand it all, and you only need to understand it as well. How often have we lamented or worried about our future as a church? How often have we said to each other, well, we've always done this way, right? We're only 10 years old, but we've always done it this way. We've always done it this way. Or we say to ourselves, and I've said it and I've heard it, oh, the young people, they never come to church. Or sometimes the only time we see people is Christmas and Easter, and I want to sit in this spot, right? How many times have we heard that? There's numbers of sundry statements, and they're all based in fear and tribalism. So maybe we're asking ourselves the question, well, Bishop Marty, I'm here today. What's the good news for me? I showed up this morning at this ungodly hour of 8:30 and saw the sun coming up as I drove in. What's here for me? What's the good news? I'm here, I'm trying, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for doing that. I want to say thank you for your faith, and thank you for expressing that faith and giving it the opportunity to be expressed and to share with the community. And I want to do this. I want to invite you, and we tried this last night, and you took 20 seconds, so I'm going to stop you at 15. You get 15 seconds, okay? I'd like to invite you for 15 seconds to just stand up, say to the person in front of you, behind you, or next to you, or nearby, hi, my name is such and such. You might even know the person. If you do, look to somebody else. Just say, hi, my name is such and such. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your faith. Whatever you want to say. You got 15 seconds. Right now. 15. My friends, what we just did in those 15 seconds is we began to wash one another's feet, literally, figuratively, experientially. We began to live that Holy Thursday experience. We actually began to establish the reign of God on earth in this place, right here and right now. So here's another invitation. Just imagine, if you will, if we were able to step into the next 50 days, the 50 days of Easter, and we challenged ourselves to do what Jesus did on Holy Thursday and what we just did in this space. What if we challenged ourselves to build a relationship, maybe with somebody whom we really don't know? Not to attract them to Spirit of Hope, or not to attract them to St. Anne, or not to attract them anywhere, for no other reason than to simply build a relationship, because that's what Christ did. Just in the next 50 days, spend one time a day taking 15 seconds to build a relationship with someone. Because that's the church, the body of Christ. And in doing so, we might just become the Eucharist that we share. In 1983, our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters rewrote canon law. Now I know that's probably you're going, oh my God, this is Easter Sunday, what the heck is he talking about canon law? In 1983, it's really exciting. In 1983, the Roman Catholic Church rewrote canon law. That's a pretty big deal. Dude, it's a long document. They gathered some of the best theologians, the greatest minds of the church. They brought them together and said, we have got to redo this, but we've got to understand what we're doing, and we're going to ground it in the best theology that we've got. In their introduction, is one line which I think is absolutely transformative. Some people know, very few people do. It's absolutely transformative for us, because this is what it says. The church, the people of God. Boom, from now on, whenever you hear church, do not think of space. Think of people, because that's what the church is. The church, the people of God, is first and foremost a people who, not a place where. Who? First and foremost, a people who, not a place where. The praise and the honor and the glory of God is encountered and lived out. I leave us with this question to ponder. What if we were less concerned with creating saints than we were creating a world where we don't need saints? A world where people like Mother Teresa and Martin Luther King Jr. and Dorothy Day would have nothing to do. That, my friends, might even be the birth of the reign of God. Happy Easter.